Hello everyone, I'm Nadella Puput Erlangga from 5BB class of English Department at Polytechnic of Sriwijaya, and in these occasions I would like to share some information to you about displaying data. Alright, before we get to know about what is displaying data, I will explain to you about what we are going to talk about in these occasions. There are two subtopics. First, we are going to talk about the definitions of displaying the data. And the last one, we are going to know ways to display data. Alright, without further ado, let's go to the first topic, that is definitions of displaying data. What is displaying data? Displaying the data is one of the steps in research that helps in presenting the finding of the research effectively to the reader. The purpose of displaying data in research is to make findings more visible and make comparisons easy. It is important to display data accurately because it helps in the presenting the data, and when the researcher will present the research in front of the research committee, they will easily understand the findings of the research from displayed data. The readers of the research will also be able to understand it better. With the displayed data, the data looks too scattered and the reader cannot make inferences. Right, so we have known about what is displaying data, and we are going to know about ways to display data. It comes to two ways, that those are tables and graphs. There are basically two ways to display data, table and graphs. The tabulated data and the graphical representations both should be used to give more accurate picture of the research. In quantitative research, it is very necessary to display data. On the other hand, in qualitative data, the researcher decides whether there is a need to display data or not. The researchers can use an appropriate software to have tabulated and display the data in the form of graphs. Microsoft Excel is one such example. It is a user-friendly program that you can use to help display the data. Right, tables for displaying data in research. The use of table to display data is very common in research. Tables are very effective in presenting a large amount of data. They organize data very well and makes the data very visible. A badly tabulated data also occurs in case you do not have knowledge about tables and tabulating data. Consult statisticians to do this step effectively. And types of table. There are three types of table, that is univariate, bivariate, polyvariate. These categories are based on the numbers of variables that need to be tabulated in the table. An univariate table has one variable to be tabulated. A bivariate table, as the name suggests, has two variables to be tabulated, and polyvariate table has more than two variables to be tabulated. Right, so we are going to know about the parts of a table. The first one is title. The title of the table speaks about the contents of the table. The title should have to be concise and precise, no extra detail. The title should be written in sentences case. Stop. The column at the leftmost of the table is called as stop. The stop has a stop heading at the top of the column. Not all tables have stop. The stop shows the subcategories that are listed along y-axis. And the third point is caption. The caption is the column heading. The variable may have subcategories which are captioned. The subcategories are provided on the x-axis. The captions are provided on the top of each column. And the fourth one is body. The body of the table is the actual part of the table in which resides the whole values, results, and analysis. And the last one is footnotes. There can be many different types of notes that you may have to provide at the end of the table. The footnotes are provided just below the table and labeled as the source. The source generally are provided when the table has been taken from some other source. They are also provided for explaining some points in the table. Sometimes there is some part of the table that is taken from a source, so it should be also mentioned. And graphs to display data. The purpose of displaying data is to make the communication easier. Graphs should be used in displaying data when they can add to the visual beauty of the data. The researcher should decide whether there is a need for a table only, or he should also represent data in the form of suitable graphs. There are many kinds of graphs. The first one is the histogram. The histogram is a graph that is highly used for displaying data, that consists of rectangles that are drawn next to each other on the graph. The rectangles have no space in between them. A histogram can be drawn for a single variable as well as for two or more than two variables. It can be drawn for both categorical and continuous variable. The second one is the bar chart. The bar chart is similar to a histogram except in that it is drawn only for categorical variables. Since it is used for categorical variables, therefore it is drawn with space between the rectangles. The third one is the frequency polygon. A frequency polygon is also very much like a histogram. A frequency polygon consists of frequency rectangles drawn next to each other, but the values taken to draw the rectangles on the midpoint of the values. The height of the rectangles describe the frequency of each interval. A line is drawn that touches the midpoints as the highest frequency level on y-axis, and it touches the x-axis on its extreme end. The fourth one is the stem and leaf display. The stem and leaf display is another easy way to display data. The stem and leaf display, if rotated to 90 degrees, will become a histogram. The fifth one is the pie chart. The pie chart is a very different way to display data. The pie chart is a circle. A circle has 360 degrees, so it is taken to percentage, and the whole pie or cycle represents the whole populations. The pie or cycle is divided into slices or sections. Each section represents the magnitude of the category or the subcategory. The sixth is the trend curve. The trend curve is also called as the line diagram. It is drawn by plotting the midpoints on the x-axis and the frequencies commensurate with each interval on the y-axis. The trend curve is drawn only for a set of data that has been measured on the continuous, interval, or radius scale. The seventh one is the area chart. The area chart is a variation of the trend curve. In area chart, the subcategories of variable can be displayed. The categories in the chart are displayed by shading them with different colors or patterns. And the eighth one is the scattergram. A scattergram is a very simple way to plot the data on a chart. The scattergram is used for data where the change in one variable affects the change in the other variable. The frequency against each interval is plotted with the help of dots. The cumulative frequency polygon. It is drawn using the cumulative frequencies on the y-axis. The values on the x-axis are taken by using the endpoints of interval. The endpoints of the intervals are joined to each other, the reasons being that the cumulative frequency is always based on the upper limit of an interval. And that's all about the topics of displaying the data. So we have known about the definitions of displaying data and also ways to display the data. We also knows about the type of table and also graphs. And I would like to say thank you so much for listening to me in these occasions, and see you on another videos.